Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkis, and tonight I am reviewing Gotham, Episode 3, Season 5, Episode 3, Penguin, Our Hero. Um, I actually like this after last week's. Last week's was kind of episode, but this week I really liked it, and I'll tell you why, and once I get into it here. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video, and you can comment down below or not, depending on, it doesn't look like anyone's here at the moment in the chat. So I don't know if anyone's really into Gotham at this point or not. So this is the last season of Gotham, and they're doing No Man's Land. And from what I understand, we are going to actually have Batman, like Batman. The last episode or the last two episodes might be Batman centric, where we actually have a Batman. So I'm looking forward to this. So we open up with Penguin in his his territory, and he wakes up in the morning, and on his staircase he has a choir that are singing his praises, quite literally. And Penguin is being told that people have started defecting. Penn is telling him that people have started defecting to a place out in the green zone called Haven, which is being run, of course, by Jim Gordon and the GCPD. And he's being told about this. The street demons come in and start shooting up the place. And Penguin ends up shooting back. He captures one of the guys and finds out that someone has been killing off members of the street gang and saying that Penguin's done it. And he's like, why would I announce that I'm doing it if I was trying to be sneaky about it? And the gang members, we never really thought that through. So he sends the guy to go off to be tortured. In the meantime, Selina is having nightmares of the night that Jeremiah shot her. And she ends up waking up and going outside and donning her Catwoman gloves, and she's up on the rooftops. So she's taking on her Catwoman persona. Harvey, in the meantime, comes in and tells Gordon that lots of people started showing up, and eventually the gangs are going to come for them because of those are their former slaves. So the gangs are going to start coming in, and they don't have enough bullets. And Jim's like, you know what? We'll take care of that, when it happens. So don't worry about it. Jim ends up breaking up a fight over food, and gives a rousing speech to everyone about how they're safe now and how they have to work together, and so it doesn't become like the gangs that was happening outside. He doesn't want to have that happen there. Bruce comes by and talks to Jim and says, hey, remember that kid that escaped from the mines? He's having nightmares so much that he actually rolled out of bed and broke his arm. Can you go and talk to him? So he goes and talks to the kid and gives him a can of pineapples, a little can of pineapples that he's been hoarding there. So, and says, you're safe now. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. So in the meantime, Selina is walking around all the refugees, and she's saying someone's got to have some info on Jeremiah. And she's telling Bruce, are you going to help me? And Bruce says, yes, I'm going to help you. And they find one guy who seems a little bit crazy. And he's talking about how the far end of the island, the dark zone, is where Jeremiah is hanging out, and his followers are hanging out. And he says they're crazy. Everyone went mad when the bridges fell. He goes, and they did this to my friend. And he pulls back the blanket on his friend, and we see it looks like Zazaz has gotten into him because there's all these cuts all over his body, and he's got words carved into him as well. And the guy's pretty much passed out at this point, maybe even dead. I don't know. So Penguin wakes up the next morning, and all that's left is the maid. Everyone else is defected, even his dog. His dog is taken off as well. And this, of course, pisses him off greatly. And the one remaining gang member that he has tied up or chained up, he says, tell you what, he goes, get all of your guys, all the other gang members are going to get together, and we're going to go take back the people that are over in Haven that Jim Gordon has taken. And so they, of course, go over there. They smash through the outer barrier of the green zone. Gordon gets word of this, of course, and sets up. They know they don't have enough bullets, and a standoff ensues. In the meantime, Selina and Bruce have gone over to the dark zone, and they see this guy. Selina says, hey, I know this area. This used to be the really posh area of town. which of course Bruce would know because, he is from Gotham as well. And they see some guy running towards him. He's got his hands tied behind his back. He's like, help me, help me. And Selina goes, whoa, wait a minute. She grabs Bruce and says, get down. Because the guy turns around and he's got a bomb on him and he explodes. I mean, I was kind of surprised they showed this on primetime. This guy exploding. And not only does he explode, but he has shrapnel of nails that go flying into the car door that they're hiding behind. Pretty brutal stuff. All of a sudden, this gang shows up, and they look exactly like the mutants from The Dark Knight Returns. Some pretty interesting stuff. I was surprised about that. And Bruce is saying, well, maybe we should go find somebody else to go and ask. And Selina's like, no, I think these are the people we need to go and ask. And yeah, we go back to Penguin confronting Jim, saying, I don't think you have enough bullets. And Jim says, well, why don't you try me? And of course, he starts shooting at some of the gang members until, of course, he runs out of bullets and has to surrender because Penguin calls his bluff. So he's screwed. In the meantime, Bruce and Selina are beating the shit out of the mutants. And Selina's taking on the big head mutant who looks exactly like the guy who fought Batman in The Dark Knight Returns. And she finally gets him down to the ground. She actually slices his Achilles tendons, gets him down, and then just starts beating the shit out of him, wants to find out where Jeremiah is. And she finally gets what she wants, and she finds out that Jeremiah's out at Hotel North. And this doesn't satisfy her, of course. She keeps beating the shit out of this guy. And Bruce finally uses a grappling gun. He actually has his grappling gun and grabs her hand and says, that's enough. You're going to kill him. And she says, he deserves to die. He wanted to kill me just like Jeremiah did. And anybody who does that is going to die. So, of course, Penguin ends up, taking everyone hostage again. And not hostage, but he's basically, they're divvying up the people. He takes Gordon down to the holding cell or, cage down below in the basement as the gangs are basically ripping apart everything. They're taking everything they can from Haven at this point. In the meantime, we got Bruce and Selina heading to Hotel North in the dark, and they come up to a shrine of Jeremiah, and they enter this building, which we see the girl in the mask that we saw in a couple episodes ago, who looks kind of like Harley Quinn. I guess she is supposed to be the new Harley Quinn. I don't know. We haven't gotten a name as of yet. She has a whole bunch of people that look like Mormons. They're all dressed up in white shirts and black ties, talking about how they want to join the Church of Jeremiah and how they have to prove themselves. She says, who wants to volunteer? So there's a few that stand up, and she sends them up the stairs, and the rest she tells them to get the hell out of there. And Selina shows up, goes in and says, I want to talk to Jeremiah. I've seen his handiwork firsthand, and I want to meet him. So she sends her in as well. Says, okay. And Bruce stays behind, of course, hiding this entire time. So Penguin is ransacking everything with the gangs, and the Street Demon gang wanted Penn. He wants to take Penn, and Penguin's like, no, this guy's mine. And he's pulling him aside, and the Street Demon says, you know what? You owe me for a guy that you killed. And he shoots Penn in the chest. And as Penn's dying, Penguin asks him why he ran. And he says, because everyone hates you. Which I think actually finally gets through to Penguin at this point. So the Street Demons say, we're going to take your territory, we're taking your your bullet factory, and you're done. And they tie him up and they bring him down to the holding cell and throw him next to Gordon. And Gordon's like, so I guess that didn't work out for you, huh? Yeah. So in the meantime, Harvey's gone over to Barbara to ask for help, and she pulls a knife on him. And, basically isn't going to give him the time of day until he finally mentions Penguin. She's like, why didn't you say so in the first place? Why don't you lead with that, you idiot? And she decides to help him. So this kid who Gordon had been helping out with the night terrors is showing the gang. He brings some of the gang members downstairs to show them where this hooch has been hidden. And he pulls out of his cast a little bottle opener, and slides it to Gordon and the Penguin, because they're actually tied up. They've got their hands duct taped together, and they can't cut through the duct tape because they got them behind their backs. And basically, then we go back over to Selena, and we see they're being led upstairs to what looks like an empty pool, and there's a whole bunch of dead bodies in the pool of these kids in the the white shirt and the black tie. Hey, Pen Farm Girl. Yeah, Penguin does always survive. And not a Harley is what I've been calling her. Ends up opening a case and says, there's guns. There's 6 guns there, and there's 6 people. And she goes, grab a gun and grab a bullet. You each get 1 bullet. Hey, Osaro, how's it going? And she has them all line up in a circle with, they're pointing the gun at the person in front of their head. And she says, on the count of 3, you're going to do what needs to be done. 1, 2, are you listening? And of course, they kind of start. She goes, okay, I just want to make sure. And she says 3, and we hear gunshots, and we see Bruce hearing the gunshots off in the distance. When we come back, we see that 4 of the people are still alive, and Selena did not shoot. She actually had shot up in the air there. So Not a Harley is kind of pissed off at her at this point and says, you 3 can go off and you'll meet Jeremiah later. She goes, I need to have a talk with this one here. Yeah, exactly, Pen Farm Girl. And she takes the gun from Selena and says, oh, you didn't follow the rules. And she knows who she is. She says, you're Selena. She goes, we know everything about Bruce Wayne's life. And lets her know that, she is working with Jeremiah. And Selena goes, well, you're kind of brave, never having to go through this before. And Not a Harley says, what makes you think that I didn't go through it? And she turns her neck, and we see a bullet wound in the back of her neck. And she goes, yeah, the bullet's in there. It's been rattling around. And, on a cold night, it kind of bothers me. And that's what's making her insane, supposedly, is this bullet rattling around in the back of her head. And she points the gun at Selena and says, basically she's going to kill her. And Selena says, I don't like people pointing guns at me ever since Jeremiah did it. And she kind of leans into it, and you hear her cat voice kind of come out as well. She hisses almost at Not a Harley. And she knocks the gun up in the air as Not a Harley fires, and they have a fight. So they fight in the pool. And yes, Not a Harley calls Selena Puddin'. So we have some Harley moments, but Not a Harley. I still don't think she's Harley Quinn, to tell you the truth. I don't think she's Dr. Quinzel. I'd like to see it, but I don't think that's the case. So as they're fighting, Bruce comes running in just as Not a Harley stabs Selena in the leg and gets away and has a gate that closes and says, they'll see each other later. Selena's pretty pissed off at Bruce. She goes, you know what? We try things your way. I'm going to try it mine. And so she handcuffs Bruce to the gate and then takes off, even though she's bleeding profusely from the leg. So, yeah. At this point, Jim, Penguin, and the GCPD come in with their guns, and they shoot some of the gang members, tell them that they mean business, and they take over everything again. And as everything is settling down, Penguin is outside. Jim is talking to the kid and makes him a deputy, and the kid lets him know that he's allergic to pineapples. It's the reason why he didn't eat them. But yeah, he goes, he'll look out for things inside the inside Haven there. And Jim goes outside to go and talk to Penguin. And he goes, in light of everything that happened, he goes, I'm going to let you go. And Penguin says, hey, I hope there's no hard feelings. We should work together, kind of thing. And just then, as he's letting Penguin go, who comes over but Harvey and Barbara? And Barbara just wants to kill Penguin at this point. And Jim, walks in front of her and says, nope, don't do it. She goes, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot right through you. And of course, she's not going to do it. And just as the tension's rising, the whole building behind them explodes, basically killing a lot of people inside in Haven. And that's where we leave off. I actually really liked this. I mean, it was pretty good. Even though they don't mention Harley by name, the Not a Harley, I don't know who she is. she's one of Jeremiah's disciples. We don't know if Jeremiah is actually going to be the Joker or not. More than likely he is. We're not sure. But I did like the mutants. The mutants were kind of good, kind of cool to see that in live action. I mean, the guy was huge too. Even talking like the mutants as well. So not bad stuff. So Penn Farm Girl says the ending surprised me a lot. It looked like everyone got wiped out, and who did it exactly? That actually kind of surprised me as well. I was very surprised by it. I wasn't expecting that to happen, and I don't know who did it either. Jody says, but didn't they say they don't have the permission to use the Joker? Yeah, kind of, sort of. They don't really have the permission to do the Batman either, but they're on their last season. So what are they going to do? Are they going to cancel the show? I don't think they're going to cancel the show. I think they're going to do, they're going to make Jeremiah the Joker, and they are going to make, well, of course, we're having Batman. He's supposed to be in either the last episode or the last 2 episodes. So we're actually going to have Batman in it. Osaro says, not a Harley is like an Elseworlds version, different versions of Joker, Harley. It's a Joker, but not Harley, but not. Yeah, I can see that, Osaro. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Pen Farm Girl. I feel like they want us to think it's Jeremiah, but Bane's coming. That's true. That could be Bane is the one that is the one who blew up the building. Jody says, yeah, but I was hoping they would do a time jump and just age up Bruce. He was supposed to go on a walkabout to acquire the skills needed to be the Bat. Yeah, he got that in like a couple of months, like 3 months being with the League of Assassins, and they supposedly trained him up completely. So he's now got all his skills. In the original, Batman lore, if you will, yes, he traveled for like about 10 years and learned martial arts from all these different masters, learned escape artist tricks from different people, even learned a little bit of the occult as well from different occultists. So that's the reason why he's got all that. Also learned some criminology, some chemistry. He's learned a bit of everything. And that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the guy who, comes through in a pinch and knows everything. Kind of like the 60s Batman, the 1966 version, where he knows everything. So yeah, not a bad episode. It actually brought me back into it after last week's episode. Last week's episode kind of left me a little cold. So Jody says, but what about the decade he traveled to learn about all the various skills he used as Batman? Didn't he learn from John Zatara? Yes, he did learn from John Zatara as well. Lots of pressure being that perfect. Exactly, Pen Farm Girl. I always say at work, what would Batman do? Kind of a joke, because there's a lot of different things that we're asked to do in our job. I'm like, so what would Batman do? Because he's supposed to know everything. Exactly. World's greatest detective. Exactly, Osara. That is the whole reason. He's the Dark Knight, world's greatest detective. Yeah, man, he knows everything. He has a plan for every single contingency. That is what he's supposed to do. So that's why he's Batman. And he's right up there. And he's over here. I've got a couple different Batmans all over the place. In case you can't tell, I actually like Batman. So who doesn't? But Jody says, but Batman's the only superhero who can get away with doing anything, and the only explanation of him saying, I'm Batman, and that's sufficient explanation. True. That is true. He does get away with it because he is very super paranoid. I think I actually asked once, who do you think's more paranoid, Batman or the Question? And that's a tough one, honestly. And I'm talking about the original Question, not the latest version of the Question. So, yeah. Very difficult to decide on that one. Because they're both pretty much similar, except the Questions doesn't have any money. Or does he? We don't know. So, with that said, I'm going to leave you guys for the evening. Don't forget to check out my other videos down below. Also, if this is your first time taking a look, make sure if you like what you see, subscribe. Also, like or dislike, depending on however you want to do it. Hit the bell if you want to get notifications of when I'm going to be doing a next video. Tomorrow night, Friday night, I'm going to be doing, Future Man, episode 3 of season 2 at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm doing Saturday Morning Blast Off, which is basically all the news of the week, genre news, trailers, whatever you guys want to talk about. It's a free for all for the most part, genre wise, of course. I want to keep that way. And we talk about anything and everything. It lasts like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it needs to last. So it's always a good time. And of course, Sunday is going to be Counterpart episode 6. That is going to be at either 10 or 10:30. I haven't decided as of yet on Sunday, Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, Pen Farm Girl, I can't wait for next week too. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Also take a look at the subscribe button up here. Over here, there's going to be some videos that are based out of my library that tailor to your likes, and take a look at those as well. And yes, hashtag save Counterpart. With that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. So don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may get stopped by a mutant on your way to meet up with the Not a Joker and Not a Harley.